30 years this month. Congratulations, round of applause. And if any industry has seen a lot of change in that time, then it's probably the telecoms sector. So our guest today is Managing Director of RHM Telecom. Would you please welcome Nick Thomas? So Nick, 30 years telecoms. Tell us a bit about you. How did you sort of get into telecoms? Was it something that you grew up with? I want to work in the telecoms industry.
Complete accident, really, Adrian. So I was doing business studies in Polytechnic of Wales and managed to get myself onto the Ericsson graduate training scheme. So was taught how to sell telephone systems, and I'm still doing it up to this day.
So Ericsson is a name some people might know of, but Ericsson, of course, is still going, aren't they?
Yeah, they are very much so. And they've pulled out of the phone system market, but they still provide a lot of equipment to people like BT for into their exchanges and things like that. That was always their core business.
So basically, if we make a phone call, use the internet, Ericsson
is in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. So you then joined RHM.
I did sort of 3 years at Ericsson and sort of got my spurs in the industry, as it were. And then I went to BT for 13 years, and the last 10 of those was in BT's dealer channel, reseller channel, and so happened that RHM Telecom were one of my customers. So just as I was looking to leave corporate world and try something different, Roger Head, who's the chairman of RHM, you may know locally, local business dignitary, he said, don't do anything without speaking to us first, and that was 2004.
Yeah.
So I left BT to join RHM and basically run the business on behalf of the majority shareholders.
So here you are, Managing Director. Tell us a bit about RHM. So obviously they've seen a lot of changes in the time. So you're based in Quedgley?
Yeah, Waterwells in Quedgley. So business to business, internet, mobile, telephone systems, Wi-Fi, so pretty simple.
So if you're a business that uses telephones, you guys might be able to help.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's basically what it boils down to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were talking, preparing for this interview, you mentioned something to me called the big switch off.
Yeah.
Now this is something that's coming out end of next year after?
Yeah, basically it's a massive change about to happen in the next few years in our industry, which is going to affect everybody here today. So BT Openreach are going to switch off their traditional network in the end of 2025. So if you've got a phone line at home or in your business, or even a basic broadband and ADSL, those will all get switched off at the end of 2025.
So two and a half years' time.
Yeah, and then next September 2023, they're going to stop selling new business lines. So if you've got ISDN lines or PSDN business lines or a line at home, you won't be able to buy one after September next year. So it's a massive impact that's about to hit. So everything's going to be driven over the top of the internet. So people are going to be forced. Just worried about my mum and dad who've just got a phone line, they've never been on the internet, no intention of going on the internet, so people like them will be forced to, if they want to keep their phone number at home, is run it over the top of the internet as a VoIP service. So it's going to have a massive impact to businesses and consumers.
I guess that's the key thing, isn't it? You've got particularly more senior people who are used to using phones in a more traditional way. That's going to be quite a big change for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have already adopted sort of cloud telephony or VoIP telephony, but there's still an awful lot of businesses out there who haven't yet, so they'll need to start thinking about it and planning for it.
Now, over the last couple of years, we've had something going on. What sort of changes did you see at the beginning of the pandemic? What difference did it make to your lives?
Well, back in March, when it first hit, we had a crazy quarter because all our clients were clamouring to sort out temporary arrangements, or what they were hoping were temporary arrangements in terms of how to handle their calls with staff at home, or some in the office, some at home. So that was a really busy period. So helping clients sort of set up temporary arrangements, which have become sort of more permanent arrangements. And one of the things that we didn't have particularly big adoption in sort of soft phones and mobile apps prior to the pandemic. And we were pretty poor at selling them. Our attachment rate was terrible, really. But that's exploded for obvious reasons, because with a mobile app or a soft phone on a PC or a laptop, you can access your phone system from anywhere, as long as you've got the internet. So the adoption of that, people using Zoom and Teams, it's become much more acceptable to make your phone calls in that way.
How many people here use video calling of some description? Yeah, just about everybody. Before the pandemic, how many people used video calling? Yeah, less than a quarter. Yeah, so that's made a big change.
Massive change. So it's kind of perversely helped us. So as I say, we were quite poor with our attachment.
And we were talking, particularly on the video calling, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? That 30 years ago, video conferencing was supposed to be the big thing, and you actually had to have a dedicated room to do the video conferencing.
Deep pockets as well, yeah.
And very deep pockets, and it was really quite a technical effort, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, in terms of the next changes that are coming through, obviously there's the big switch off. What do you see happening? What do these people need to know about over the next sort of 12 to 24 months?
Well, the immediate future is sort of managing the impact of that change. A lot of businesses are already, in a good place and have changed already. Those that haven't will need to think pretty quickly about what they need to do. We'll see an increasing adoption of sort of cloud-based services where you can, the phone system used to be a piece of tin in the corner of the office or on the wall. That's kind of, now it's all cloud-based, so as long as you've got internet access, you can access that phone system from anywhere. Continued adoption of cloud telephony, I think, is a big change.
And do you think 5G is going to make a big difference?
I think it just gives more choice. So as everything's going to be driven over the internet now, then 5G just will give an option of accessing the internet, not just on a fixed service, like a broadband service or a fibre to the premises type service. The only downside with mobile connectivity is, when it's good, but when it's not, it's pretty much useless. So, we've tried using 4G with routers and things like that to help customers who've got really poor broadband. But unless you've got a really good signal that holds up and is good indoors as well, it can be a bit hit and miss.
How many people here have experienced the mobile calls dropping out for seemingly no explained reason?
Yeah, it seems to happen, particularly if you're in a steel frame building.
Yeah. And 5G is going to be even more accentuated than 4G in that it's very sort of directional. So the mast, you have to be quite close to the mast to get a really good service. But if you're in that position, its speeds are tremendous. So again, if you're lucky enough to be in an area with a really good signal, it's a good alternative.
So there are going to be a lot more 5G masts cropping up,
but they will have to roll out more than they did with the 3G rollout and 4G rollout because of the way that it works.
Yeah. I saw online the other day that somebody was talking about 6G. Yeah. Apparently there's a sixth generation in the pipeline somewhere, which is all starting to get a bit mad. So, bearing in mind all the changes you've seen over the last 30 years then, what would you like to see if you had a wish list? What would be top of that wish list?
Well, you talk about 5G rollouts. The other thing that's happening in parallel to this 2025 switch off is that there's a massive explosion in the rollout of fibre to the premises. So very frustrating up until now, and if you're lucky enough to be in an area that you can get fibre to the premises, it's a really good service. It's cheap, tens of pounds a month for a really good sort of high-speed service. So they're now putting their foot to the throat on rolling that out. So Openreach have got huge investment. But what the other thing that's happening is that Ofcom have allowed increased competition. So there's more and more fibre companies, independent fibre companies popping up. Locally you notice this frustratingly the streets dug up around Gloucester and Cheltenham with City Fibre rolling out locally. So City Fibre is one of the big ones, but there's a lot of smaller ones. So down in the southwest, for example, is Jurassic Fibre. They're only in literally Devon, Somerset and Dorset. It's a very fragmented market. So from our point of view, we need to be able to provide the best broadband possible anywhere in the UK for our clients because of the nature of our clients. So our supply chain is becoming quite convoluted. I'm taking on pretty much all of these alternative providers so I can provide my customers with the best possible service anywhere in the country. So my wish is that, I think and I hope that alternative provision will consolidate in the medium to long term, because there are lots of different companies, lots of different processes in different parts of the country, whereas in the old days we could just rely on BT Openreach because they were everywhere. So for us, we'll offer our customers the best possible service, and we'll be flapping around under the surface, making that happen.
So like the proverbial swan.
Yep. Yeah.
Nice and calm on the customer interface, but just everything going on.
I mean, one of our biggest clients, we've got broadband into about 650 cinemas in the UK, and they deliver film and trailers and in over those connections. They clearly need a semi-decent connection, and they're anywhere in the country. So that's another reason why we have to take on more and more suppliers to enable us to do that.
So if you've ever downloaded a short video and you know how long that can take, imagine what it takes to download a cinema quality.
On a broadband, we're delivering 10 meg, probably about 2 days, I think. So,
That takes us back to the old days, to dial-up. So what would you say would be the one big thing you could do for the people here?
Well, if you've got your business and you haven't adopted VoIP or cloud yet, then or you're a bit concerned about this switch off, we'll be launching a new page on our website, sort of a guide. It will include maps of the exchanges, because some of the exchanges are going to stop selling lines before September. So I think it's about 200 already in the UK. So it'll even have a guide of what's happening where and when. So that's going to be out on our website shortly.
Okay. All right then. Last question: how do people find you?
RHM Telecom.com.
Okay. Nice and easy. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Thomas. Has anyone got any questions for Nick? Yes, Alex.
How does the fibre option, City Fibre, compare to Virgin Coax?
Well, Virgin Coax is obviously quite a legacy product now. It's the old Telewest rollout years ago. It's still a good service. In terms of City Fibre, it's going to be literally fibre technology in the ground all the way through to the customer premises and back to the exchange. So it's inherently more reliable and potentially a lot faster as well. So you sort of gigabit speeds. What City Fibre are doing at the minute, which is a little bit frustrating for us, is that they are selling predominantly to the consumer market, and we can only procure leased lines to the business market. So you're talking, 200 to 250 quid a month services, whereas a lot of SMEs want to pay 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 quid a month for a decent service. So we haven't got access to those from City Fibre at the minute. But they also sell to consumers through different brands, so like GigaClear and GigaNet. They kind of route to market for the consumer. I think in Gloucester, I think our finance lady's got one at home through GigaClear, I think, called GigaNet. But it's actually City Fibre under the bonnet. But yeah, when you can get it, it's a really good service. I would say it's an enhanced service compared to the old sort of Virgin Coax service.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, cool.
Yeah, Nick, with everything going on over to the internet, how do you feel that gives the cyber hackers much more access to infiltrating these phone lines and everything else that they seem to be able to get into?
Yeah, I mean, in the old days, we had a lot of problem with fraud on traditional phone systems and people hacking voicemails and stuff like that. It was a big issue historically, but of course the game's shifting now. With everything being internet based, it is going to increase the exposure. So from your point of view, selling business insurance then and cyber insurance, I would imagine you're going to be quite busy.
Yeah, it's getting busier.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colin. Anyone else? Yes, Nick.
We have uncontested lines coming into us, so is that going to become an issue the faster it gets you going to lose that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've obviously, you're a decent sized business, Nick, haven't you? So basically, if you've got a leased line, that bandwidth is yours. If you're paying 700 quid for 100 meg, it's your 100 meg and your 100 meg only. The fibre to the premises type services, which will become available, you can get up to a gigabit speed for probably about 80 quid a month or something. But it is contended, so when the kids come home from school at 4 o'clock, the service drops, so on and so forth. And the service level is standard service level is 4-day fix, whereas the service you have is probably 6-hour fix. So you pay a premium, but you get the SLA and it's your bandwidth.
Well,
So,
actually, over the last, because it's getting faster and faster, we've gone from, we had 100 up, 100 down, now we've got gig up, gig down.
Yeah.
But it's the same cost.
yes, that's right.
It got a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
But is that going to become more and more popular? So you're going to end up with a lot of uncontested lines, which is then going to contest themselves, if you like.
No, I think you're still, if you're paying for that premium service, even though that cost has come down, you're quite right, Nick, dramatically over the last sort of 5 years, you'll get what you pay for, and then catching up from the bottom, if you like, is broadband services, fibre to the premises, which, if you're paying 40 quid a month, yes, it's a high speed, but it is shared service, and if it goes wrong, BT have got 4 days to fix it. You can pay to have enhanced service. I think there may be a big grant that develops where you can pay a bit more and get a slightly better service wrap, maybe a 24-hour fix. But your lease lines have a really good SLA. You can't afford to be down, can you, for 3 or 4 days?
So local websites do that to our service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, one more question.
It amazes me, and I perhaps can't answer. We go to these poor countries where the sewers run down the side of the road, and your mobile works perfectly. In this country, our mobiles are shit. And my biggest stress in my life is trying to run businesses and working remotely. Most calls, or certainly over half the calls, break. What are they doing right that we're doing so wrong? And they talk about 5G and 6G, they haven't got 2, 3 and 4 on yet.
No, I can't agree more. It's a good point. It is very frustrating, isn't it? The mobile coverage, you've got four carriers in the UK, Vodafone, O2, 3 and what's it called? E. So basically, although there's other brands, they're all using one of those 4. And I suppose because we've got a reasonably good fixed network in the UK, they haven't had to sort of invest to such a degree to offer a ubiquitous service that's great everywhere. Unlike developing countries, they may have a very poor fixed line network, and they've just decided, like the government's decided to let's just go mobile. So the mobile is the leading technology in that country. You might have it in the Nordics and places like that where the mobile coverage is fantastic. But the UK, it is frustrating. Like I said earlier, if you've got a good signal, great. But it's very patchy. We do work the NHS down in Devon. And Devon's a notorious county for being really patchy. So you know, who's the best carrier? You can't really answer that. It depends where you are. You know? So yeah, very frustrating. So although the 5G will roll out, I fear it will be a similar experience to 3G, 4G, in that it will be patchy, really good or non-existent. So yeah.
Okay, all right. I have one last question for you. How many people are RHM?
There's only 20 of us. We're about
That's
4
good
million,
size.
4 million turnover, nice sort of small medium business,
Yeah.
but a good bunch.
Great.
So thanks.
Okay, Nick, thank you very much.
Loads of good.